Okay, before we start, let's get all the negative, unwanted vibrations, frequencies, and energies out the way. Peace and love to you and myself. Don't mind my shirt. I was working out, so it's a little sweaty. But that's besides the point. Chapter 2: How your mind heals the sick. And he arose out of the synagogue. Let's wait till this train go by. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now, train. I know you're doing your job. The little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. I know I can. I know I can. I'm going to just try to speak louder because I ain't going to sit here and make y'all wait. Chapter 2: How your mind heals the sick. And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house. And Simon's wife's mother was taken with a great fever. And they besought him for her. And he stood over her, and he rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose and ministered unto them. Luke 4:38 through 39. Related passage. Matt 8:14 through 15. Some time ago, a woman told me her child had a very high fever and was not expected to live. The doctor had prescribed small doses of aspirin and had administered an antibiotic preparation. The mother was involved in a contemplated divorce action and was terribly agitated and emotionally disturbed. This disturbed feeling was communicated subconsciously to the child, and naturally, the child got ill. Children are at the mercy of their parents and are controlled by the dominant mental atmosphere of those around them. They have not yet reached the age of reason where they can take control of their own thoughts, emotions, and reactions to life. This mother, at my suggestion, decided to get quiet and still by reading the 23rd Psalm, praying for guidance, and also praying for peace and harmony of her husband, and pouring out love upon him instead of resentment and rage. The fever of the child was the suppressed anger and rage of the mother, which was felt by the child and expressed as a high fever, or a state of excitation of the mind. Having quieted her own mind, she began to pray for the child in this manner. Spirit, which is God, is the life of my child. Spirit has no temperature. It is never sick or feverish. The peace of God flows through my child's mind and body. The harmony, health, love, and perfection of God are made manifest in my child's mind and body now. She is relaxed and at ease, poised, serene, and calm. I am now stirring up the gift of God within her, and all is well. That's how she prayed over her child that was sick. I do it all the time. When my boys come around, I always do. It works. I'm telling you, just try it. Just try it. It don't cost you a cent. All you got to do is take a little time. She repeated the above prayer slowly, quietly, and lovingly for about 10 minutes. She noticed a remarkable change in the child, who awakened and asked for a dowel and for something to eat. The temperature became normal. What happened? The fever left the child because the mother was no longer feverish or agitated in her mind. Her mood of peace, harmony, and love was instantaneously felt by the child, and the corresponding reaction was produced in the child. Like, I do this on purpose whenever my sons come over and they tell me that they don't feel good. I do little things like at random times, I just walk up to them and say, "Do you feel better now?" Until they say yeah. And eventually, after I keep repeating it over and over again at random times, because I don't want to overwhelm them, they'll say yeah. She took her child by the hand, biblically speaking. The hand means the power of God. With the hand, you fashion, mold, shape, and direct. It is symbolic of the creative power of intelligence in all of us. She lifted her child by the hand in the sense that she lifted up the idea of health, harmony, and peace in her mind to the point of acceptance, and the power of the Almighty responded accordingly. It is the nature of the deeper mind to respond to the nature of your thoughts. When the mother focused her attention on the idea of perfect health for her child, the power of the Almighty flowed through her focal point of attention and a healing followed. When the Bible speaks of entering into Simon's house, it refers to what you are hearing. The word Simon means to hear. And Simon's wife's mother means the emotional state which follows what you have been hearing or giving attention to. You see how they say mother, because make sure I'm saying this right. Because your right brain is the feminine aspect, which is your subconscious. So that's why they use the term mother. Okay. If disturbed by some news, or if you become unduly excited, you must rise up in your mind. It's your synagogue. You should contemplate the inner presence as saturating every atom of your being. Then a wave of inner peace will follow, and all will be well. You rebuke the fever or sick state by contemplating the omnipresence of God. This is divine science in action. Great peace have they who love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. And it came to pass, when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus fell on his face and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him. And he charged him to tell no man, but go and shew thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing, according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. Luke 5:12-14, related passage. Mark 1:40-44. Matt 8:2-4. A leper, biblically speaking, is a person who through erroneous thoughts has separated himself from the real source of life. It means a man who is governed by the five senses and is psychologically and spiritually separated from his divine center. A leprous or impure condition is the result of being governed by the five senses with its fears, superstitions, and erroneous thoughts. He put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will be thy clean. You have seen men lay hands on people and pray over them, and a healing followed. This has occurred from time immemorial. Sometimes people refer to the man who practices the laying on of hands as a natural born healer. Of course, we all are natural born healers, for the simple reason that the healing presence of God is within all men and women. All of us can contact it with our thoughts. It responds to all. The healing principle is in the dog, the cat, the tree, and the bird. It is omnipresent and is the life of all things. Why you think you breathing? How you think you can see? There are different degrees of faith. There is the man who through faith heals his ulcers, and another man who heals a deep-seated, so-called incurable malignancy. It is as easy for the healing presence to heal a tubercular don't laugh at me. A tubercular lung as a cut in the finger. There is no great or small in the God that made us all. There is no big or little, nor hard or easy. Omnipotence is within all men and women. The prayers of the man who lays his hand on another appeals to the cooperation of the unconscious. A response takes place, and according to your faith, it is done unto you. This is the time-honored procedure of healing. And he charged him to tell no man. It is a wise procedure to refrain from going around telling everybody you had a spiritual healing. Many of your friends will pass derogatory and skeptical remarks which might undermine your faith, causing you to doubt and hence undo the benefits you received from the prayers of the healer and your own mental acceptance. So if you do get a spiritual healing, don't all tell people. I know you want to because it's exciting. You want them to know so they get healed too. But just mind your business. If you heal yourself, don't even tell nobody. They gonna see. They gonna know just by looking at you. You ain't got to tell them. If they want to know, they'll come and ask you on their own time. Show thyself to the priest. When you pray, you are the priest offering up the sacrifice. Your feeling, mood, or attitude of receptivity is the connecting link between the invisible and the visible. See, this would get me about people. They don't believe in invisible. They say they don't believe in invisible stuff, but you can't see the air you breathing. You believe in that. Ain't that invisible? But let's move on. Your desire is your offering. You cleanse yourself by forgiving everyone, by sincerely wishing for all those who may have seemed to hurt you all of God's blessings, such as peace, love, joy, and happiness. Having cleansed your mind of all impurities, that's why you do that, because you cleaning yourself out. See, when you forgive people, it's not for them. It's for you, because you let the hate go. So if somebody do you wrong and you just keep walking around thinking about how they did you wrong, that stuff stuck in your head. You want to get it out so you can move on and do what you got to do in your life so you can have a good life experience. So to forgive people is not weak. It's not you letting people get over on you Just because you forgive somebody don't mean you got to deal with them no more. You could just forgive them and let them go on about their way, and you go on about your way. You going to have peace of mind when you do that. Having cleansed your mind of all impurities, negative imagery, and destructive thoughts, you offer your gift to God by galvanizing yourself into the feeling of being one with your ideal. Become engrossed and absorbed in the joy of having heard the good news or the joy of the answered prayer. This consumes the old state and gives birth to the new. If you want a healing of your body, withdraw mentally from symptoms and evidence of senses and begin to think of God's healing presence within you. So stop thinking about that stuff and think about the power of God. It's easier said than done, but with practice, you'll get better at it. Just like riding a bike, you practice every day, you get better at riding a bike. It's the same thing. The 5 outward senses are now turned inward and focus on health and harmony. All your attention is on your health and peace of mind. Let me repeat that. All of your attention, not some of it, all of it, is focused on your health and your peace of mind. The almighty creative power flows through the focal point of attention. You feel the response of the Spirit flowing through you. The healing presence touches every atom of your being, and you are spiritually enriched. Dwelling in conscious communion with the divine, man oftentimes becomes intoxicated with the Spirit. A state of exhilaration of the whole begins taking place. This spiritual awakening builds up the entire man, makes him new, so that each day adds a new joy. As we continue to pray scientifically, we are lifted up so that our outpouring of spirit takes place and our whole being is revivified and recharged. Dr. Alex Carroll, and Man, the Unknown, points out the marvelous effects produced by prayer. He cites a case of a cancerous sore which shriveled to a scar in front of his eyes. Come on, y'all know this stuff real. We got the internet now. You could go easily look at this stuff and see for yourself. The problem is we want other people to believe it too. No, it's for you. Start with you. But I get it, because you want to heal your family and your friends and all that. I understand. But they don't want to hear it. Sometimes they don't want to hear that stuff. At least not now. But someday they will. If not this lifetime, the next lifetime they will. He cites a case of a cancerous sore which shriveled up to a scar in front of his eyes. He recounts seeing wound lesions heal in a few seconds and pathological symptoms disappear in a few hours. Extreme activation of the processes of organic repair has set in. These healings of tumors, burns, etc. were due to nothing more than the release of the healing power within each one of us. God, or infinite intelligence, is the only healer, the only presence, the only power. When we call on this presence within, giving it supreme recognition, claiming that the healing power saturates our mind and body, we receive a corresponding flood of the healing power which permeates every atom of our body. Cicatrices and wounds and making us whole. Don't laugh at me. Our body begins to function harmoniously. Its atomic and molecular formation once more is transformed into the way it is in the divine center within us. Then we know the truth of the saying, yet in my flesh shall I see God. When the Bible says, offer for thy cleansing, according as Moses commanded, you are to look at the word Moses, as Troward points out, as the law, the way your deeper mind works. As you exalt your thought patterns, claiming and affirming your good, your deeper mind, the law, automatically responds to the new mental pattern and mental imagery, and a healing follows. The law holds no grudges, no more so than the law of electricity. All you do is conform to the principle of electricity and results follow. You may have misused the principle for making water for 50 years. The moment you follow the correct procedure, you will get water. And behold, men brought in a bed a man which was taken with a palsy, and they sought means to bring him in and to lay him before him. And when they could not find by what way they might bring him in because of the multitude, they went upon the house step and let him down through the tiling with his couch in the midst before Jesus. And when he saw their faith, he said unto him, Man, thy sins are forgiven. Luke 5:18 through 20. Related passage, Mark 2:3 through 5. I say unto thee, arise, and take up thy couch, and go into thine house. Luke 5:24. I remember a case of palsy and tremors being treated some years ago. The man's legs would become locked so that an inability to move was experienced. Panic would ensue, and the man would be frozen to the spot even in the middle of a busy street. This condition of constant fear, panic, and foreboding was wearing him down. The following procedure was adopted. The first step was to get him out of nature's way. After agreeing quickly with thy adversary, he was told he must not continue in a state of quarrel, fear, and panic as to why he was beset with such a physical condition, causes which brought it about, etc. He admitted to himself that the condition was present and quite a problem, but that he didn't have to have it. He said to himself, I am going to deny the worst and return to the rock from whence I came. He turned to the God presence within, which created him and knew what to do. This healing presence is omnipresent. What's that word? Omniscient and omnipotent. He aligned himself with the infinite, realizing that the healing presence was saturating every atom of his being and flowing through him as harmony, health, peace, wholeness, and perfection. As he gradually filled his mind with these eternal verities, he became reconditioned to health and harmony. As he changed his mind, he changed his body. For the body is a shadow of a mind. And you know it's true because you got to think of something before you do it. Every time you do something, you think about it first, even if you're not aware of it. If you pick up a cup, you thought about picking it up first. So you thought about it first, then the body moves. If you was finna tie your shoe, you thought about it first. You seen it in your mind, and then the body moved. The Bible story says men brought in a bed a man which was taken with a palsy. The bed in which a man lies is his own mind. He lies down there with fear, doubt, condemnation, guilt, and superstition. These thoughts paralyze the mind and the body. In Mark 2, 1 through 12, where we have a slightly different version of the same story, it says the man was born of 4. The number 4 represents the manifested world, the objective manifestation of subjective states of consciousness. 4 means termination, the end result, the completion of a cycle of consciousness, negative or positive. We are told that Jesus, awareness of the power of God, healed him by forgiving his sins. To sin is to miss the mark, the goal of health, of happiness, of peace. We forgive ourselves by identifying mentally and emotionally with our ideal and continuing to do so until it gels within us as a conviction or subjective embodiment. We are, of course, sinning also when we think negatively or when we resent, hate, condemn, or fear another person. If we think there is some power to challenge the one power, God, we are also sinning because we are cohabiting mentally with evil, thereby attracting all manner of calamity, trouble, and loss. We sin when we deviate or turn away from our announced goal or aim in life, which should always be peace, harmony, wisdom, and perfect health. To indulge in morbid imagery and destructive thoughts, we mar our happiness and miss the target of a full and happy life. Jesus forgave the paralytic by saying, "Arise and take up the couch," which means that truth or God never judges or condemns. The absolute does not judge. All judgment is given to the Son. All men and women are sons and daughters of the infinite. Your mind is the son or offspring of the Spirit. With that mind you claim, choose, select, and arrive at decisions and conclusions. If you err in your judgment or decision, you experience the automatic or compulsory reaction from your unconscious mind. Your mind is always forgiving you because the moment you present it with new mental imagery and lovely patterns of thought, it responds accordingly. It is always forgiving you. This is called the love of God or the mercy of God. The paralytic could not be cured until his sins had been counseled. But once the inner state of mind is changed through contact with the healing power and his sense of oneness with it, he now arises through the power of the Almighty, the one power. And he no longer is carried around by 4 men, symbolic of worldly beliefs and erroneous impressions of all kinds. The outer change conforms to the inner spiritual awakening. And when they could not find by what way they might bring him in because of the multitude, they went upon the housetop. The multitude refers to a man's mental accusers such as fear, self-accusation, remorse, and condemnation. When he realizes that truth or God or the law of life never condemns, he ceases to condemn and forgives himself. Then, instead of lying down prone in a bed of false beliefs and fears of all kinds, through his contact with the almighty power, he stands upright in the law, visioning and imagining his perfect health and wholeness. You must go on the housetop if you want an answer to your prayer. You must climb. You do this by reminding yourself of the one omnipotent power and your faith in it. We climb by faith, We soar aloft above our problems with wings of faith and disciplined imagination. Faith means to look up to the one, giving all your allegiance, devotion, and loyalty to God. Truth means to go in one direction only, knowing that the great physician is within, that he is healing you now, and that there is none to oppose, challenge, or thwart him in any way. Fear is a denial of God and is nothing but a conglomeration of sinister shadows without reality and with nothing to sustain it. It is said they climbed up and opened the roof and let the paralytic down to the roof before Jesus. All this means is that in contemplating God in his holy presence, you are lifted up. Your mind is open and receptive, and you let your deep, abiding conviction in the idea of perfect health sink down to subliminal levels within you. Jesus means God is your deliverer. The I am within you, which receives the impress, of your conviction and responds accordingly. If you break the roof of a house, you can see the heavens above, the sun, moon, and stars. Don't let the press of worldly thoughts prevent you from receiving a healing. If your loved one is sick, open up the roof of your mind and let in the healing light. Surrender your loved one to God and realize that he is now immersed in the holy omnipresence. See him as he ought to be, radiant, happy, and free. And you ain't got to tell nobody. You ain't got to say, I'm finna go and heal you. You ain't got to say nothing. Just sit your ass down and do what you got to do. Claim what's true of God is true of your loved one. As you continue to do this, your loved one will rise up from his bed of pain, misery, and suffering and walk the earth glorifying God. And it came to pass also on another Sabbath that he entered into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man whose right hand was withered, and the scribes and Pharisees watched him, whether he would heal on the Sabbath day, that they might find an accusation against him. But he knew their thoughts, and said to the man which had the withered hand, Rise up and stand forth in the midst. And he arose and stood forth. Luke 6:6-8. And looking around about upon them all, he said unto the man, Stretch forth thy hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored, whole as the other. Luke 6:10, related passage. Mark 3:3-5. L.C.H. Salmon, a missionary's wife in South Africa, tells in her book, He Heals Today, about a child with a deformed left hand. 3 fingers were missing, and in their place were tiny stumps. After prayer, there was a growth of the whole hand at the end of the arm, and they began to unfold like a flower in front of their eyes. She also states that there is absolutely no doubt in the minds of people who have followed developments that a perfect hand is forming. It sounds crazy, don't it? But it's not. We must not look upon this as a miraculous or something supernatural. We must begin to realize. Let me repeat that again. We must not look upon this as miraculous or something supernatural. We must begin to realize that the creative power which forms, molds, and shapes the body can grow certainly a hand. a leg, or an eye. After all, where do the organs of our body come from? If you made an ice box, couldn't you fit it? If you made an ice box, couldn't you fix it if it were out of order or if broken? Couldn't you mend it and supply the missing parts? When Jesus said, "Stretch forth thy hand," you must look upon it as a drama taking place in your own consciousness. You are Jesus in action when you know that the realization of your desire will save you from any predicament. Be it what it may. You are Jesus or the spiritual man or woman in action when your conscious and subconscious mind agree on the realization of your wish or prayer. Now that's a twin flame connection. Masculine and feminine agreeing. I'm talking about the mind. I ain't talking about, y'all get the point. When there is no further argument and you have reached an agreement, you are Jesus Christ in action. Jesus represents your illumined reason, and Christ means the power and wisdom resident in your subjective self. LCH Salmon's faith in the creative power of God to form a new hand for a child caused the stunted arm to grow. Her faith is her Savior or her Jesus. She is aware of the reality of what she prays for and knows that the nature of the infinite intelligent is responsiveness. In the correct esoteric interpretation of the Bible, it must be understood that principles are personified as persons. Principles are personified as persons in order to make portrayal and interaction vivid and forceful. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates. 2 Corinthians 13:5. We must not, however, confine the story of the man with the withered hand to its literal meaning. The hand is a symbol of power or of direction, of effectiveness. With your hand, you fashion, mold, create, and design. The hand of the Almighty means the creative power of God, focused or directed on some objective. Symbolically, a man has a withered hand when he has an inferiority complex, feels guilty, inadequate, or as a defeatist. Such a man does not function efficiently and is not expressing his God-given powers. We stretch forth our hand when we realize our hidden power and become channels for divine love, light, truth, and beauty. His hand was restored whole, as the other means a happy, healthy, well-balanced, and wholesome personality. Numbers of people are sick, unhappy, dissatisfied, inept, and insufficient. Their attitude toward life is all wrong. Moreover, their work is shoddy and desultory. They do not sing in their hearts at their work. Whenever you turn with confidence and trust to the almighty power within, knowing that you are guided, directed by this inner light, and that you are expressing yourself fully, you will actually become a channel for the divine, and you will move from glory to glory. The dreams, ambitions, ideals, plans, and purposes of many are withered and frozen in the mind because they do not know how to bring them to pass. The external world denies their desire. Not knowing the laws of mind and how to pray scientifically, they find their wonderful ideas die of warning in their minds, resulting in frustration and neurosis. If you look around you in your office or factory or warehouse, you will see many people with a withered hand. They are stagnating, literally dying on the vine. Life is progressive. Life is growth. There is no end to our unfoldment or creativeness. We wither our hand, our ability to achieve and accomplish by saying, if I had Joe's brains or his wealth, his connections, I could advance and be somebody. But look at me. I'm just a nobody. I was born on the wrong side of the tracks. I must be satisfied with my lot. I have a withered hand. This is the way most people talk to themselves. They are constantly demoting and depreciating themselves. Liquidate, banish, and eradicate from your mind fear, doubt, and ill will. Trust God completely. Go all the way out on a limb and say with feeling and humility, I can do all things through the God power and awareness which strengthens, guides, comforts, and directs me. Watch the wonders you will perform. Stretch forth your hand by enlarging your concept or estimate yourself. Aim high. Raise your sights. Realize you will always go where your vision is, good or bad. You will be stretching forth your hand as you get a picture in your mind of what you wish to achieve. Not what other people want you to achieve, what you wish to achieve. Touch this with faith in God's wisdom to bring it forth, and you will see it made manifest on the screen of space. You will be satisfied for a while. Then a divine discontent will stir you again, causing you to aim higher and higher and so on to infinity. Life FA, baby. To stretch to stretch forth your hand, when psychologically understood, is the soundest, simplest, and most wonderful philosophy any man can have. I say unto you now, stretch forth your hand. Peace and love to you. If you made it this far, you a savage. If you made it this far, you like me. You one of the mystical people on the planet. You believe in the unbelievable. You believe in miracles, as you should. Peace and love. Have a nice day. I'll see y'all next time for the next chapter.